It was recently announced that Final Fantasy XIV will be getting a mobile version. This is literally going to be a game changer for both FF14 and the Final Fantasy series. And I'm going to tell you why. But before we begin, here's a quick overview of what we know about this mobile game so far. Final Fantasy XIV Mobile is an official mobile title based on Final Fantasy XIV, developed by Lightspeed Studios under the supervision of Square Enix. It is completely separate from the existing retail version of the game, and content will be tailored to suit the needs of a mobile phone game. The game is scheduled for global release but will initially launch in mainland China. The open beta, which is limited to China only, will commence on the 19th of December for a currently undefined period of time. We can expect to see much more of the game when this goes live very soon. And now, back to why FF14 Mobile is a game changer. Number 1. Final Fantasy has struggled to break into the mobile gaming market. While the mobile gaming market is considered to be very broad, it is heavily characterized by games that run as a service or are free to play with gacha elements. The most notable example of this is Genshin Impact, which has dominated the market for a while. For the longest time, Final Fantasy has had difficulty in finding success in this market. It has had varied results in the past with spin-off titles like Record Keeper, Brave Exvius, and Dissidia Opera Omnia, but not on the level of success that Genshin and similar open-world games like Wuthering Waves have achieved. As far as mainline Final Fantasy titles were concerned, a mobile version of Final Fantasy XI was once in development, but was ultimately cancelled due to creative differences between Square Enix and Nexon, which was developing the title. More about how this is relevant later on. Final Fantasy XIV Mobile is an opportunity to expose millions of phone gamers to a proper mainline Final Fantasy, and as an online service game would be one where they would continue to return to and spend money on. At the end of the day, this represents a huge untapped market for Final Fantasy and could potentially rake in a lot of revenue. The success of FF14 on mobile could also pave the way for other Square Enix titles to see development on this platform. Number 2. FF14 Mobile promises to be faithful to the existing game. As an MMORPG that was developed for consoles and PC, Final Fantasy XIV is not an easy game to translate into a mobile experience. But the developers have stated that they are committed to providing a faithful experience to the gamers, even down to including the main scenario quests. While the gameplay of jobs would need to be trimmed down for mobile, everything else about the game has shown to look and feel like the existing one. Although the game is built from scratch on a different engine, it looks visually identical to FF14, albeit not at the high visual fidelity that it now enjoys after the graphical update. The approach to the UI has also similarly been consistent. From a recent video released showing job actions of the 9 original jobs, they also appear to have retained a lot of the moves and flavor. One of the biggest challenges with porting an MMORPG to mobile is that retaining the gameplay 100% is sometimes not feasible, and changing it too much risks losing the identity of the original game. Considering how much more complex and old-school Final Fantasy XI's gameplay system was, this might have been the main reason why it was ultimately cancelled. So while it remains to be seen exactly how faithful FF14 Mobile will be, the fact that this approach is being taken is a very good sign. Number 3. Benefits for Final Fantasy XIV. While the current retail version and this new mobile version of Final Fantasy XIV will be distinct, they will likely share a lot of cross-compatibility in terms of game assets, which would help save on development costs. It may seem obvious that FF14 Mobile can work off FF14 assets, but it is also possible that assets developed specifically for the mobile version could be used in the existing game. As an example, they appear to be providing a Chinese dub for the MSQs for the first time on mobile, and this could potentially be applied to other versions of the game. FF14 Mobile also has the benefit of hindsight, and appears to be designed with this in mind. This gives the developers a chance to implement do-overs on certain decisions that were made to original FF14. We have already seen that the 2.0 experience of jobs will include job gauges, which were only introduced in Stormblood. As another example, it is possible that they might re-implement seamless zone transitions between the starter cities and the areas around it, or have each starter city just be one full zone again instead of being split into 2. Both of these were features of Legacy FF14, by the way. Additionally, being able to iterate on jobs and gameplay systems in a separate environment provides another testing ground for such changes. changes which proved to be successful in the mobile version could potentially be implemented back into the existing game. What this means to me is that FF14 will be able to improve on itself even more. I really do think that this represents a win for current FF14 players, even if they never touch the mobile game. But what does this mean for the rest of the Final Fantasy series? For one, the announcement of FF14 Mobile means that it is highly unlikely that FF11 Mobile will ever happen. There would be no reason for Final Fantasy to compete with itself again in a niche market, especially when FF14 is currently more popular and appears to be a better fit. But I also think that Square Enix did learn a lot from their previous venture with FF11 Mobile, and will take what they learned from this partnership into future ventures in the mobile space. I also think that this is a good thing overall. More actual Final Fantasy for more players, instead of trashy mobile games like FF15 A New Empire, Good Riddance, that use the FF name but have nothing to do with it at all. So I'm really looking forward to playing FF14 Mobile. We'll probably cover this topic more in future. Let me know what you think about this new mobile game in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.